Is it possible to make a margarita for less than $1? Cocktails are not exactly cheap and they seem to only be going up in price, with a lot of cocktails in big cities costing anywhere between like $16 and $18 a cocktail. And that's a lot of money. But then you also have Applebee's doing this.
You're welcome, America.
The Dollarita is back, baby.
Well, I was just slamming some Dollaritas up at the Applebees.
I kept getting a bunch of ads for the Dollarita being back over the last year, and it got me thinking, how are they doing this? How are you serving a drink for less than $1, and how are you making any money on this? Because like $1 doesn't buy you anything, let alone alcohol anywhere nowadays. So I did a little bit of research, and by that I mean I typed it into the YouTube search bar, and I found this video on how they make their Dollaritas.
Make $1 margarita with me. Mud mix and water. Stir. 2 bottles of triple sec. 4 bottles of tequila. Goodbye.
And so obviously they're not using any quality ingredients, but I started to think, well, is it actually possible to make a really great killer margarita for less than $1? And to put that to the test, we first need some ingredients. So the first thing we did was go to Total Wine. We're gonna look for some of our key ingredients to make our margarita. But first we should lay out some rules. The first rule is we're going to use real ingredients because it'd be super easy to just get a pre-made margarita mix with tequila in it already. And we can even get like margarita mix and mix it with a better tequila, but it's still not gonna be quite there. So the first rule is we're going to only use real ingredients. So first things first, we're gonna need some tequila. We could go with El Jimador, it's not that expensive, but I think we can do better. We could go the giant plastic jug of tequila route, but I don't think that's gonna lead us to anything good. This isn't a terrible option for that price, it's pretty good. Instead, let's check out Arete, which is one of my absolute favorite budget options of tequila. They have it here for $23.99 for the 750, but they're out of the liter, which is what we really wanted to bring that cost down. We could go the awful tequila route here. They make these giant bottles for not that much money here, but I don't think that's going to make us a very good margarita. Instead, let's go with Cimarron. Okay, I think this is the one. This is the one. Let's at least try to do something, make it look like a real margarita. So we're gonna do this, which is awful, but you know what? Let's make it cheaper. The 1 liter, this is the price we're gonna base off, but I don't need that much, but we'll go with this. But you know that you can buy that just for the argument's sake. And we also need to get some limes, but for 99 cents, that's gonna automatically put us over our cost here for this margarita. So instead, we're gonna go to the restaurant supply store to see if we can't get a better price on these limes. I'm pretty sure you can get a similar price at like BJ's, or even your supermarket might get close. There's about 200 limes in a case like this, 175 to 200. So could definitely drive the price down there. And we're also gonna need some sugar, and this might be overkill, but again, we are trying to bring this cost down. And the second rule is we're going to keep our margarita recipe consistent. We're not gonna take anything out. We're not gonna try to make like a shortcut margarita. We're gonna keep the recipe exactly the same as we make all of this. And so what is that recipe? Well, the recipe for margarita is really only 4 ingredients, and I'll show you how to make it right now. So the first ingredient we're going to need is sugar, or simple syrup, which is, as the name implies, very simple to make. We're gonna grab our scale here. We need to weigh this to know how much we're spending, and also so I can be as exact as possible. And hopefully with our awesome little angle from up there, you'll be able to actually see what's going on the scale. All right, so then we're gonna do, we've got 185 grams of sugar. We're gonna do the same amount in hot water. Super simple syrup, water, sugar, mix, you got your simple syrup. And so we just want this to read 370 grams. There we go, 370. Just gonna mix this up to incorporate everything. And there we have our simple syrup. Nice, cool. And now let's set that aside for a moment. Let's grab our shaker, and then we're gonna grab our lime that I already cut in half, and we're gonna grab our jigger, and we're going to do 1 ounce of freshly squeezed lime juice from a real lime. This lime was juicy. Almost got a whole ounce from half of this lime. That's good. That's gonna cover our costs quite a bit. There we go. We got 1 ounce from this big juicy lime. Sweet. We're going to do just a ½ ounce of our simple syrup. And so we got that bottle of Cimarron quite cheaply. So we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of this. Normally for margaritas at my restaurant, I like to use Cointreau, but Cointreau is like $35 a bottle. It's not going to be cost effective, right? So we had to make some concessions somewhere. We did pick up a bottle of De Kuyper's Triple Sec. I know it's not the greatest, but this shouldn't be too much of the whole cocktail, so it should still be relatively good. Unfortunately, there aren't really any other triple secs that are this cheap, and we really got to get this under $1. So we're gonna do a ½ ounce of this. Oh man, I know I would normally never use this, but I really want to get this margarita under $1. And now we're just gonna add ice and we're gonna shake. And then we have our margarita glass with a salted rim. So how do we do? Let's give it a taste and see. That's a pretty solid margarita. I don't love that flavor of that De Kuyper, but it's not really overpowering the margarita. And for the amount that we spent on this, that's a pretty great kick-ass margarita that if you were to serve that to most people, that would be really freaking good. Now, is it under $1? Obviously I don't think so. I think that there were some places here that just, we got slightly over $1 on this one. And so honestly, a part of me is like, okay, cool. We made a really cheap margarita with really great additive-free tequila that doesn't break the bank, but I don't like to lose. I set out for a challenge to make a margarita for under $1, and by gosh, that's what we're going to do. And so as I sat there trying to rack my brain about how on earth are we going to get this margarita to be any cheaper than it was, because we are using some pretty cheap ingredients, I remembered something. A couple of years ago, I had this video go viral. I'm gonna make this much lime juice with just 10 limes. And it's going to taste just as good in 2 weeks as it does when you freshly squeeze this. And so that's what we need to make. I think we need to make some super juice. Kevin Koss, another YouTuber who makes some fantastic cocktail content, actually has this incredible video that goes through the entire process of how to make it and where it came from, and it goes super in depth, but I'm just gonna follow the original recipe from my short, and then we're gonna go from there. But for that, we're gonna need a couple more ingredients. So let's hop on over to Amazon and just order the things we need. And so the first thing we're gonna need is some malic acid. And we're also going to need some citric acid. All right, so then now that those came in, we're gonna grab our 10 limes, a glass container. We have our big boy citric acid, and I got a small thing of malic acid as well. Something really strange that I found out from making it the first time that I did it is that for whatever reason, citrus in America gets coated with wax. So wash your limes to try and get it off. I've done it with soap and then people yelled at me. We're gonna just scrub it and then get rid of some of the wax. All right, now that our 10 limes are all washed, peel all of these lime peels, throw them right in there.
A few moments later.
All right, so now that we got all 10 of our limes peeled, we're gonna set these limes aside. Don't throw them away, we're gonna still need them for later. We're gonna need to grab our handy dandy scale again to get our drug dealer on. And then we're gonna measure out 44 grams of citric acid. And then we're gonna just sprinkle that right over our lime peels. Because I made such a mess with the big container, I just put the malic acid in this little cup. We just need 8 grams. There we go. And now, I'm gonna put that in there. Mix that up. And we're gonna let that sit for like an hour. All right, so rather than leaving it for just a couple of hours, I actually left it overnight, and you can see that they got a little bit discolored in terms of the lime peels, and that most of this acid got absorbed, and that's okay, because we still have another whole part that we have to do for this. Gonna need all 10 of those original limes that we peeled, a cutting board, and we're gonna cut all of these in half and get them ready for us to juice them. And then we're just gonna juice these limes. Now that we have that juice, this part's gonna get a little weird, but trust me on this. We're gonna grab our peels. We're gonna mix all of our juice with our peels and just stir this up to just get the rest of that acid to dissolve in the lime juice. I'm just gonna stir this a little bit, and then I'm gonna close it up and shake it. And we're actually going to blend these lime peels with all of this juice into one liquid substance. And whatever's remaining from these peels is gonna be blended into the juice. I told you it's gonna get weird. And blend it until it's a nice, even consistency. I knew these little bar blenders weren't gonna work out too well. Let's break out the big guns. Get a good blender. Your home blender's probably fine. This might be overkill, but I just wanna make sure that we're really blending all this stuff together. It's almost there, but there's a lot of big chunks still, so. And then we actually are also gonna add 1 liter of drinking water to this. I have here marks on the side of here that are a half liter, so I'm gonna do 2 of these up to this line to put in here, and we're gonna blend everything together. So you'll be able to see it there. There is a half liter line right there. Just fill this up to right about there. Oh, these bottles are half a liter. That's good to know. And put that in here. And then we're just gonna do that one more time, just to be accurate. There we go, another half liter. Right in there. Now let's close this up and really blend it. So we're gonna strain this out into our container so that we get all of these bits out. And that's it for the super juice. So just for reference, I'm gonna pour our filtered super juice back into the blender cup just because it has a measurement of how much it is, and I just want to know how much we made so that I can price this out. So that looks like we have 48 liquid ounces of super juice. So now that we have that, let's pour them into our deli containers just for safekeeping. Oh, no one need the second one. Cool, I don't need this one. Great. So there we have our super juice. And then, yeah. Let's taste this and compare it to regular lime juice. I want to make something very clear. I didn't invent this system and this process, and neither did Kevin Koss. It was created by Nicole Morris in Louisville, I believe, and I will link their stuff down below in the description. I don't want you to think that I created this, right? So we have a citrus juicer, we have our cutting board, and we're gonna cut a lime, 2 shot glasses, and first some lime juice, regular lime juice. All right, so we have here regular lime juice, we have here our super juice. Super juice is a little bit cloudier. I think there's still some bits there. If we were to, strain this out with a cheesecloth, I think it'd probably be about as clear as regular lime juice. Let's see how it tastes. Lime juice, nice, tart, sour, delicious. I love limes. Now, super juice. It tastes like lime juice. I mean, it is. It's like we basically reconstructed lime juice. Like malic and citric acid are found in limes naturally. The only difference is that the way that we made this, it's never gonna go bad. It's just deconstructed and reconstructed, right? Whereas regular lime juice will go bad in like 2 days. All right, so now that we tasted that and that they're very similar, almost identical, with the lime juice just being like obviously a little bit fresher, but like it's super similar, and I don't know if you'll actually be able to tell the difference in a cocktail. Grab our shaker. And again, we're keeping all of the measurements consistent across all of our recipes. So we're gonna do 1 ounce of lime juice, or super lime juice, I should say. We're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup that I just bottled after yesterday. And then for my part that I don't love is that we're still gonna be using DeCorpus triple sec because I have not found a cheaper one. It's not my favorite. I don't like it. I don't like using it, but I need to get this under $1. I'm gonna use a 1/2 ounce of this. And last but not least, the part that's gonna make a big difference is we're gonna use arete instead of cimarron. As I'll show you right here, I was able to get the bottle of arete for about $18 a liter, which brings the cost of the tequila that we're using down a lot. Specifically to 56 cents an ounce. So we're gonna use 1.5 ounces of arete. Though I think between arete and cimarron, you can't go wrong as a good, cheap budget option that's still additive free and very tasty. And there we have it. Same 4 ingredients as we did with the earlier recipe. Let's add some ice and shake. Grab our salted margarita glass. And let's give this a taste. That's a great margarita. That's a fantastic margarita. It's super good. Super tasty, fresh, nice, light, amazing. But the question is, were we able to satisfy our goal? Did we complete our mission? Well, here's the breakdown of what everything cost. And so, yeah, there you go. Did I cut some corners in the fact that it was wholesale prices for the tequila that I did? Yes. But that being said, if you're a bar owner, you can make margaritas for less than $1. I wanted to show that there's a way for bars to, for example, emulate the Dollarita, but make it really good. Now, that being said, I did cut corners there, so maybe I didn't fully complete it because you as a general consumer might not be able to get arete for $18.90 or whatever it was a bottle, but you can get very close. And while we're talking on that subject, I did have this entire time a much better triple sec that really isn't that expensive, but between $8 a liter for De Kuipers or like $12 a liter for Marie Brizard. If we use this margarita would taste so much better, but then it wouldn't be under $1. It would probably end up being something like $1.05, something like that, or like $1.10, which is still, in my opinion, super respectable. You could sell like $2 margaritas and use Marie Brizard, some super juice, and arete, and you're talking about, like, in terms of cost, a very cheap margarita with an incredible taste. So doing this would probably be even better than doing this. And honestly, for the price difference of 10 cents, this right here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know what I think about 30 different tequilas, I ranked and rated them in this video right here that you can watch next. I have an incredible, really cheap margarita to drink, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Dollarita's back. Yeah.